Oh, this was one of the easiest decisions of my career. To be a part of something that's, been a part of my life since I was a senior in high school. I grew up watching Vin and the gang, and to have the opportunity to be a part of it somehow is a dream come true. I mean, I love big popcorn films like this. It's what I want to do, and it's a dream. I mean, it was an easy call. It was a happy day when I got that phone call. So, Mr. Nobody and Dom had a unique relationship where, the agency would allow Dom to kind of get away with a lot, for the sake of, some good or some end that the agency valued. And Ames is a little cleaner. He's a little more precise. He's like a neurosurgeon with a scalpel, right? Why do we have to blow up an entire city just to take out one guy? Maybe there's a better way to do this with some precision and care, and that may mean that Dom is a fossil, a relic from the past, and needs to be put down, and that's kind of the fun ride that we get to take with Ames.
This has been my dream. I've been basically begging to be in these movies for years now. I have a great video of me running around my house squealing when I got the news that I got to be part of this franchise. It's just, I hold it with great esteem. They're films that make you want to go to the theater. They're films that you want to go with your family, and that matters. That's really fun to me. They're things that we eventize, and I think that I really personally value that. I love discussing them and talking about them with my friends and family, and so my friends and family are truly freaking out over this. They finally think I'm cool. It all was figured out that I was going to be in the film. I got this text that said, "Can you go to Vince's house for dinner tonight?" And I was like, "What?" And I showed up, and his 3 kids were at the door, and they immediately were like, "Brie, I want to show you this. I want to show you that. You got to meet the dogs. You got to go on the trampoline. You got to do this." And then eventually came down, and he was like, "Oh, I see you've met the true minds behind the franchise." And I was like, haha. And then I sat down at the dinner table, and they all sat across from me, and they said, "So what will you be bringing to the Fast franchise?" And I was like, I would love to know. You tell me, what can I do? And we had this great conversation, and I ended up going over to their house many times, going to his eldest daughter's birthday party, and I got to become close with them before I ever set foot on the set. And I think that's just a testament. It's all part of his process too. I don't think that was an accident. That's all by design. That by the time my feet were there on that set, I felt like I belonged to be there. I felt safe, and I actually based my character off of his daughter. There's obviously the aspect that there's been representation from the very beginning, which was just unheard of at the time. But then you also have this growing spectacle. You have incredible stunts, fast cars, all of these things that are really fun to watch. But at the end of the day, it's about family. It's about standing up for one another and having each other's back. And there's real values within the films. And I think that that's ultimately what brings people to the theater. Tess is Mr. Nobody's daughter. She is technically agency, but she's kind of a bridge in a way. She doesn't go along with the way that the agency's headed now that her father isn't there, and believes in the legacy that her father set up, which is standing with Dom, standing with the Toretto family, and is fighting for that. She ultimately loses that battle pretty early on, and then goes on her own mission to do what she feels is right in her heart. I was trying to be super professional, It's this is a franchise that I love so much, and I wanted to come in and have a clear point of view and show that I had something to bring to something that's so good. It doesn't need me, but I wanted to bring something to it. And so that moment when he took the cross out is just the most surreal moments of my life, and I just fell over. I fell onto the ground. I could not be cool. There was no recovering from that. And then I felt embarrassed, but luckily he was moved by it and thought that, it was sweet that it meant so much to me. Oh, I was totally welcomed. And it was amazing. I mean, I was immediately invited to hang out with them, dinners, barbecues, and they were just so fun and easy and welcoming and down to hang. And it's an amazing thing. They've all known each other for so long, been through so much together. And they've also been playing these characters for so long that they have all of this deep knowledge. And so I was the new kid at school, just excited to like sit at the same bar as them, drink tequila and pick their brain.
Yeah. I think this is number 7. Sometimes I have to do the counting myself of me being in this franchise, starting at 2, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It sounds crazy just to say it, but I keep thinking to myself, I feel like I have to be the luckiest human being on earth to have a music career, to sell as many albums that I have, to have all these accolades in the music world, but to be a part of this franchise and have so many phenomenal memories, and we're not even done yet. And I mean, you know, the fact and the thought of this soon coming to a close, I just couldn't be more proud and thankful and honored, because I know how many memories that I have to cherish for the rest of my life. And I know that I have a whole new family, you know, to share these memories with. And I know I have a whole new family to share these memories with. And to know that we're going to continue to create these memories, whether this franchise moves on or not, is the best gift that I can travel with for the rest of my life. So this barbecue scene we started at the top of this movie for a very specific reason. I might not be able to tell you that reason right at this moment, but just understand that we always leave you wanting more. Let me just put it that way. What's so special about this particular barbecue scene? There's a lot that I can say, but Rita Moreno kind of rings very special in my brain about how the matriarch of the entire family is making her debut, and the heart and the love and the energy that you can feel through the screen is going to be unimaginable. It's going to be unmatched. It's going to be second to none. So if you feel this magic coming through the screen, you can only imagine what we felt sitting right next to her while she was delivering such a powerful acting performance. So myself as Tess, because I'm always behind the computer screen and the technologically advanced individual, am so happy when I'm able to get some action. And over the last couple films, I've been able to get more and more action, if you've been noticing. You know, it's martial arts, being able to do some fight scenes, to whoop some ass. That's exactly what I'm all about. As a matter of fact, in Fast 8, there was a fight scene that got edited out the movie that one day I'll be able to show everybody. But that being said, Fast 10, I got action, action, action. So it's always fun to do that, because I've been practicing behind the scenes on a martial arts called 52 Blocks for about 6, 7 years now. So I couldn't be more proud. This franchise is aging very well. It's visually stimulating. There's so much heart and love in it. And when we come together as a cast and crew, it just shows people that, you know, everything comes down, all the stuff that we deal with in the real world, it all comes down to love and family. That's what matters the most. I know people joke about family and how much we stress family, but we need family and we need love right now more than ever in the world. So it's okay for us to continue stressing family and stressing love, because we have to, a lot of us live vicariously through these characters, and we get hope. We get a sense of confidence and a sense of hope just by watching the screen and living vicariously through each other. That's powerful. That's what cinema is supposed to be all about. I heard Vince say before, this isn't a movie. This is a lifestyle.
When the first ones came out, I was too young, even like to read the subtitles. But I always had that feeling of the fact that they would, how can I say, dictate fashion, set trends, and like they were like the coolest in the industry. Then I grew up and I started watching from like Fast 5, and I had like my age. I was old enough to understand that it wasn't all about like the fast cars and the music and being cool, but it was also about like unity, family, friendship, and like the important values as human beings. Beings, not beans. For me, when I joined the family and when I had the first conversation with Vin Diesel and when I met him, I realized how profound like the story is. And it's not just what we see on the screen, it's a lot what we do on set every day and out of the set. So for me, even as an actress, I love to make movies, not only just like to perform, but as well for legacy. For me, like it's an art thing that I will leave for anyone that watches, for my family, for my friends, for whoever wants to watch it. So after talking to Vin, I really felt like this is legacy, and it's not just a movie, it's a lifetime experience. I really felt that I was part of the family since like day one. And for me, I feel like he's a big bro, and I just hope that I'll have him for the rest of my life. I'm very excited, yeah. And at the same time, because my character is from Brazil, I think I'll be even cooler than the guys. So I'm very excited about it. And I've been thinking, I always loved like Brazilian cinema. And I think they have a different vibe and a different like posture. So I feel like my character will be different than them because I'm Brazilian. It's like, it's an energy thing. It will be so much fun.
It's actually, it is an honor to come into an establishment for 20 years, and you would think you'd have like this nervousness or, I don't know, just being scared to come into it because there's a lot of heavy hitters in this, and I knew my first scene was like Charlize too, and I was like, oh God. Like, just, I haven't worked, there's only been a few amount of actors where I've worked on that level. But I was really excited, and I hadn't played a villain in a very long time. I hadn't played a villain in probably 10 years, and to be a villain on this show would mean a lot. And I just felt like they had, and the things that I've seen, I just hadn't seen anything to that level. And so I really wanted to bring something fun. I wanted to bring something to the, the lineage that hadn't been done yet, and something that could face off against Dom and his family. And you had to be a certain psychotic, and you had to be playful, and he just was so, he just been done wrong in his world, in his mind. And so I just had a lot of fun with it. And the truth of it is, I've been supported, and Vin's been amazing and supportive of it. And I think people are going to have a great time, because I approach it like an audience member, going like, what do I want to see? Who do I want to see him go up against? What kind of character can that be? And that's the thing that gets me excited, is like, I want to play something that people are like, whoa, I like him. Like, no, that's like, if that happened to me, I'd like, oh, we have to kill him. And then you're like, but I really like, man, nope, he's got to die. And like, yes, Dom, you just want him to beat him so bad, and then all of a sudden there's a little bit of a twist here and there. And so I just feel like this character, I was really excited to play. He's wonderful, and he's fabulous, and he's fun to be around. And then the moment they go action, it just switches into Dom, and you're like, oh wow, and the voice hits, and everything, the cadence hits, and he just gets it's just different than who he is. And I really enjoy both. I enjoy watching him play Dom, and I enjoy Vin as running and having responsibility for this franchise for 20 years. So it's impressive. Me and Vin have had quite a few conversations about, it's not just this movie, it's moving into the second part of this movie. So it's what we want to go through and get to, because I think it's beautiful, without being preachy, to, Dom will do anything for his family, and that's a great quality to have, as much as most fathers and parents will. And that's a great thing about this, this franchise is about the family. And so when I disrupt all of that, and I absolutely hate it, but then at the end to like kind of come around and understand that it really is, it's love and the people that you surround yourself with, and it's important for the world, it's important for this. So it's like we're trying to, have a message within, so that it all gets exercised by the second one. And I don't know how much I'm supposed to tell, but we've got it all planned out. I was baffled. I was like, I can't believe I'm going to let me do all this stuff. I mean, I'm glad it's over now, but it was the most nerve-wracking thing I've done, because there's a lot of stuff to take in. There's the environment and being in Rome, like you can't stop that quick. You don't have that much of a runway. You've got to pull something off very quickly. There's extras going everywhere, even though they're, stunts probably, but it's I mean, that's the thing I love about it, because you're just like, boom, you're in the moment. Like, you're right. You have to be super sharp. And, but it's still nerve-wracking. And when you're done, I'm like, I don't want to do it again. Some people love it, but I'm like, I like doing it in my personal life, but it's scary. But, you know, I know I can do it, but it's definitely, you're ripping past the Vatican, or you're going past the 16th. I mean, just shutting down the Spanish steps and then ripping past it, and there's like kids screaming. I'm like, what am I doing right now? This is crazy. And I'll remember it forever. It's a wonderful experience. I haven't underestimated him, but, you know, I think Dom doesn't understand how tricky and sly and just like how I've duped him into my web. So like, there's certain points where we're supposed to have a fight. I'm like, nah, dude, we're not fighting. You're gonna beat the shit out of me. You're gonna punch me here. You're gonna slam me over here. You're gonna slam me this way. And I have this molar I lost, and I'm like, I'll pull this out, and we'll give some that people haven't seen, really, really beat the shit out of this character. But then in a second, I'm gonna totally demolish. Because where's the fun in that? Like, we have a fight, and then you get like, I'd rather see like a whole, like it's a total Batman Joker moment, and then he has the upper hand that it's just been way ahead of everything. Dommy and Dominic. And the funny thing is that you don't plan it; it just kind of comes out in the middle of the scene. Like I said, it's such a free, set, and I think they're open to it. And Louis is unbelievable. Like, Justin was amazing, but Louis, like, it's been phenomenal how we've connected, and it's fun making him laugh. So, I don't know. The guy came in at the last minute, and it's been phenomenal to the point I'm like, what are you doing next? Can you do mine? Because I am having a ball with him. Yeah. Michelle, I met in Italy. That was awesome. I met her before, but she was super welcoming. Charlize was everything I wanted her to be. She's a queen. She's professional. She's unbelievably talented. She's okay looking, like things like that. But aside from that, I'm like, wonderful first day experience. Yeah, I mean, I was so excited to meet Ludacris. I was doing scenes where I'm blowing Ludacris up and I'm listening to his music. And but I love Luda. Tyrese was a sweetheart. I got a great time with him. I didn't get to meet everyone yet, but I didn't meet Eastwood. But Vin has been, not just a great, acting with, it's like a producer in the sense of like, he checks in, he's making sure you're taken care of, he's asking and checking in at the end of the day, letting you know that just basically what's going on, which I think is great, man. I think it's nice to have your leading man, who's also the producer, and just going like, hey man, I'm really, really thankful you're on the movie. And you're like, well, thanks, bud. That feels great. Awesome. I'll see you at work tomorrow. So, yeah. And then my kids are here, and his kids are here, and family's welcome. And I think it's a great set. And I've been on it's been a pretty gnarly couple years. I have to say, this is one of the funnest experiences I've ever had in filming. And truthfully, I had been warned coming on, it was going to be challenging. It was going to be tough. And it's been awesome. And I have had the best goddamn time. So I'm sad it's going to come to an end.
It's really interesting, the idea that this franchise has been together for 10 movies. You throw in Los Bandoleros and Hobbs, there's 12. What's unique about it is it's not based on, IP that's been around for 50 or 60 years that you're pulling from. It's also, James Bond is cycled generationally with different actors. This has been the same characters that we've kind of followed through this journey since 2001. So, we're now in 2023. So you can do the math. It's quite a phenomenon, and I think the way we've always approached it is really character first, because we have these great car sequences, and really the fans have kind of gotten on top of us and saying, don't go too far from the heart and soul, which is the street racing. They've wanted more of that, and I think we're really stepping up and delivering that in 10 and what you're going to see moving forward. But I think it's really paying attention to these characters and the character relationships and the nuance of it. It was really important that with Fast 10, as we are kind of saying all roads have led to this, what does that mean? We are really putting the franchise on trial, okay? We are looking back and saying, you know, the days where one man or woman behind the wheel of a car can make a difference are potentially over. The world is changing. We have driverless cars. We have AI. We have algorithms. Now, when you look at sports, it's Moneyball and statistics. And Dom and family are a bit old school. It was this notion that anybody could take a car, could take a $5,000 car and could spend time and energy and put love into it and could beat the guy in the Corvette, you know, who's got the $100,000 car. That there was something, an evening of the playing field. And with this one, we wanted to kind of go full circle and really hold up a mirror to the franchise and hold up a mirror to Dom and say something that Dom and Brian really have been asking through the course of this franchise. You had a cop and you had a thief, and they realized they had more in common than they had dissimilar. And they're asking themselves, are we the good guys pretending to be bad? Are we the bad guys pretending to be good? And really, I think what came out of that question is, we are what we do, and we are who we love. And so at the beginning of Fast 10, everything is turned on its head, where the franchise usually ends with the barbecue, where we've said, we're done, and come together, and we toast our Coronas, and salud mi familia. We begin there. That's where this movie begins. We begin together, and then the group gets fractured. One of the interesting things about Dante is, on one hand, he really respects Dom. He is calling out all the great moves that Dom's doing. He can't believe it. He's the ultimate fan. On the other hand, he wants to destroy Dom. He wants to take everything from Dom because Dom is taking everything from him. And he does it in such a unique, interesting, frankly fun way. You know, he's not above a mani-pedi and a therapy session with talking to a few cadavers next to him. I mean, he is an eccentric dude, and he calls out toxic masculinity, and he kind of embraces that. But he's also don't be beguiled. He's as fun as he is. He's also equally as deadly, and it makes for an amazing ride.
Normally, the Fast experience is you go in wanting to be entertained and at the edge of your seat, and you leave completely fulfilled. And they end with a toast and a recap, and it's essentially a chapter is closed, and let's see what happens next. Maybe a button after the credits. This is not that. This obviously sets the stage for something larger. And in that way, it's unfamiliar territory for the Fast mythology, and I think that's the major thing that was different. You're left in suspense. You're left, wanting answers. It's a very different vibe than any of the other chapters of Fast and Furious. The Toretto family has been targeted by Dante, and this is a true revenge strategy. And Dom calls on his little brother to help protect his son because he doesn't want to put his sister in that crossfire. He wants his sister to get to safety with Brian and their family. And, I'm called in to kind of be a guardian to little B. I really loved being especially in the thick of the action with Jordana. It's good to see, her be able to have a lot of stunt work. And we specifically did one scene where I wanted to make sure I asked her, like, I crashed down through the floor and push her out of harm's way and look her in the eye and be like, are you okay? Only to get hit immediately. Like, of course she's okay. She's my sister. I know how tough she is. And then she saves my behind, and then she asked me the same question, and that was kind of something that I wanted to make sure it went like that, because here you have this heroic-looking, tactically dressed Jakob who comes down to save the day and be like, "Are you okay?" And Jordana can totally handle herself. And I think that was a cool little brother-sister moment in the middle of all that action that just, I'm glad we didn't waste it. So Patrick and Olivier put together this fight, and because it's, you have action strictly on Mia and strictly on Jakob, it takes place over 2 stories of the Toretto house. And they wanted to know, and they were very apprehensive about like, hey, is it okay if we use your signature maneuver from WWE, the attitude adjustment, which was where John Cena, I don't know if it's not even me anymore, it's the character John Cena, but me, it's almost like a fireman's carry, where fireman's carry is where you kind of pick up someone like a sack and then just flip them over your head. And I've been doing that on WWE television for 20 years now. And they thought it would be a cool homage, and the way they constructed it is the person would then go through the floor, and that would kind of be my way to get down to Jordana, Mia, waiting below. And I thought it would be awesome. And we actually had to raise the ceiling we had to raise the roof of the Toretto house up to perform the maneuver. And I think it'll be a nice wink. I think if people think it's too cheeky, I think that's also a good thing. But it completely belongs in the fight, and it looks as if it should be there regardless. But to those who are in the know, I think it'll be a nice little nod and a wink, and I'm happy that what a testament that is to WWE, that it spans so far beyond just the avenue that it is. For a stunt coordinator to be like, hey, we'd like to use this piece of your career and put it in the movie, and now the John Cena attitude adjustment is immortalized in the global phenomenon that is Fast. So I was all for it.
That is so cool. So much fun. You can just hear the audiences roaring when they see it.
Well,
Recognize it.
I think recognizing is one thing, and I think just as everything with me, I think they'll be mixed, which I love that, because then that invokes conversation, which is passionate, and I'm just really happy that like we shot it. It's in the movie, so my time in the WWE is very precious to me, and to have that be involved in Fast, I think that's really cool. Jakob held a lot of pain in for the good of his brother and for the good of their family, and that was all exposed. And usually when you have those uncomfortable conversations, they either create more distance or they bring people together. And Dom, as always, he never turns his back on family. And once he found out the other side, in a very Dom way, was very empathetic and gave Jakob an olive branch. And I think that kind of took the evil edge off of Jakob. He got what he wanted, and he didn't have to ruin any more people's path. So in thinking of that and in crafting, like, okay, what do we do now? Especially when they paired me with Leo, who is just phenomenal. I was just kind of thinking, like, wow, Jakob is a cool uncle. He's still a mystery because he's a spy. So he's the opposite of Dom, whereas Dom is like, come in the loudest fashion possible, break as many things as I possibly can, announce to people that I'm here, and if you're in the room standing, you're about to get dropped. Like, Jakob is smooth. He's under the radar. He's a mystery. Jakob's goal is to protect B at all costs, and he makes a promise to Mia that he will protect little B with his life. And I think Jakob has places that he feels are secure, the safe house, and even when the safe house becomes compromised, there's always another step, another plan. They have, and the cool thing is B and Jakob have worked on this cannon car together, and it's really cool looking. I don't know how they took a 66 or 67 El Camino and made it into like this Mad Max 4-cannon thing that shoots milk carton-sized shells to clear paths and to get out of harm's way. It really is a cool moment for the duo. Like, you really see them kind of hit their stride, and then right in what you think a wonderful moment is going to be, it takes a bit of a turn. So I think Jakob is just doing what he knows best, and I think when the safe house is compromised, he realizes exactly the force of who they're dealing with. I think Fast does a really good job of keeping the car as an extension of oneself. The Charger with the supercharger or blower motor is such a direct reflection of Dom. And even everyone, I mean, gold Lamborghini that Roman drives, everything is like an extension of character. And this case is no different. Jason's got I think it's a 66 Fairlane with an R code 427 and a Thunderbolt hood. Might be automatic on the column, I'm not sure. I mean, we'll check it out later. But that's a really cool car. It's a rival make from the Charger, and it's kind of like Ford's version of what that would be. It's a big body car with the biggest motor they could possibly have. So I think it's Dante's way of saying, I'm you, but in a pure evil sense. And I like that. That side-by-side matchup is, it's a really good visual of the two individuals, their two personalities, and extensions of themselves. And I think, like I said, Fast does that really well by making a car who the person is.
She's always the one who's bringing everyone to their senses, or she's always the one to go, wait a second, there's an issue with this, and here's the problem, and she's sensible, and I do think that comes with being a mom, being the mom of two boys. I can say that wholeheartedly. I'm always the one being like, wait, assessing the situation and going, no, this is a bad idea. So yeah, she always puts family first. And I think that's why it's so much fun to see the conflict as well between Dom and Jakob, because it's like she wants nothing more than her brothers to get along, and that's her heart speaking. And yet with her brain, she's like, they're opposites. That's not necessarily going to happen, you know. And she knows Dom so well, so it's like she's almost like the compass of sorts, who's figuring out, well, this is wrong, this is right, and so it's fun to be able to be that within this franchise. I think the strength came in, and I think it comes with age too, just confidence. Because I'm like, wait a second, John Cena knows what the heck he's doing. He's been through this a gajillion times. How am I going to go head to head with him? What I worry about too is like, am I going to seem like I know what I'm doing? And I feel like I totally held my own, and it was awesome. So, and I think the trickiest thing as an actor is to not anticipate, to not like flinch at all, and to not like ruin the take where everyone's been working so hard by like anticipating that the guy's coming through here, so like you look ahead, you know. That's the kind of thing where you memorize it, but you can't be overly prepared, you know. It's just like throw it all out. That's to allow for spontaneity, I think, is what I learned. I think the barbecue scenes, because they're so iconic, and they mean so much, because it's like the Torettos are there. One of us gets to say a prayer. This time it was someone very, very special. We have our Abuela, our grandmother, who's played by Rita Moreno. When Vin told me Rita was joining, I was like, what? Like, I've been blown away by like Charlize joining, Jason Momoa, but then Rita Moreno. It's like we were in line to sort of quiz her on her career and her experiences, and she was so game, which was incredible. But we take so much time with the barbecue scenes, and oftentimes they're not scripted because we want to allow for spontaneity and the magic that's happening between the characters, and oftentimes like Tyrese comes out with something that's really funny, and then that'll, you know, set Ludacris that you know, elicit something out of Chris, and just, you know, the natural chemistry that's built over the years comes out, and they're really fun. Vin has a talent where what he wants like really does manifest. And I think the first time he probably said Rita Moreno, everyone was like, what? Like, that's, how the heck are we gonna get her? Helen Mirren, Charlize Theron, Jason Momoa. And he's just, first of all, he's so charming, and he loves this franchise so much, and he believes in it so much. So I don't doubt that he could get whoever he wants for it, honestly.
I watch these movies religiously, like since they came out, and I watch them again and again, and because they're you know, they are the highest level of perfection for this kind of entertainment. You know, I analyze them, love them first, and analyze them afterwards. So I knew everything about it, inside and out. So it really helped me look at the themes. You know, because movies are, you know, plot, character, but theme very importantly. And when I arrived in London, I was quite clear about what I wanted to do theme-wise. You know, it's the beginning of the end, so it needs to be the total sum, and yet something completely different, with a new villain, with new stakes, real stakes, but knowing what this franchise was about, I could take it all in and really focus it, and that really helped me. I like having fun when I direct. I like having fun directing. I like the audience to have fun. I like the actors to have fun while this is happening. It is true entertainment on a massive canvas. Because Fast and Furious is seen on the biggest screens around the world. You know, IMAX, Dolby Vision, I mean, you name it. You will experience this movie on a giant format. So what a better way for me and a better canvas for me. And I had all my, this giant canvas, all the toys that I want. I mean, I love my toys. I would create stuff, and I would create. That's my thing. Is like, if I don't make a movie where I create camera moves that have never been done before, or equipment that have never been done before, I haven't done my job. So that's what I tried to do, you know, from the get-go. Obviously, I had no runway, but I had the best crew. Really, honestly, the best crew in the world. I didn't change anyone. Didn't bring anyone. I was like, this is literally the best crew in the world. Let's go! My big brother twin is Vin Diesel. I have spent so much time with him, with this amazing man, on set, after work, like every night, 2, 3, 4 hours every night, thinking about the next day, the next week, the next month, the next projects. You know, we were thinking about it not as, you know, there's a fire we need to put out. We're like, okay, it's firm ground. We need to make it work. Let's make the best version of it. And we're like saying, how can we plus it up every day, every scene? How can we make it the best scene possible? How can we give the other actors the best arc possible? The newcomers, you know, Brie Larson. Like, Brie Larson and I were in the same plane together, and we arrived on the same day. You know, she was jet lagged, I was jet lagged. I didn't have, you know, firm footing in there, and we really helped each other finding the character through Vin, and Vin really helped. And Vin is a tireless worker. Like, we worked every weekend. We still do. He's been an amazing partner. Dom this time is worried for his family and worried for the world. The stakes are real. He's met his match. This enemy is a snake. We don't know where he's going. It's strange to have an enemy who adores you, who has analyzed you and has learned from you for 20 years, and who's trying to mimic you. And when you have that, it's very strange. It's like having an obsessed fan. I mean, the man is so funny, so deep. We were like, we loved it, and he and I clicked on exactly what I like on this you know, the filmmaking on the edge of, like, you know, is it comedy? Is it thrilling? Are you scared? Are you you want to love your antagonist? I mean, for me, the best villains, the best antagonists are the ones you fall in love with. You know, whose target, goal you understand. And I think we did this. We actually worked so hard to make that work, and make that pop. And he's so funny. He and it throws Dom off. Dom is used to having strong antagonists instead of him, but to have a slithery, slippery fan in front of you who loves everything you're saying, who loves you, who adores you, but also knows exactly what you're going to do. Well, now that's scary. It was hard because we only had 4 Academy Awards winner in this movie. It's incredible. The cast, literally, the first 2-3 weeks. Again, for me, the exterior person walking into this set, had legend after legend after legend coming into on my set. Me directing them, so much so that I had to sort of punch. Hype myself up in the morning, looking in my mirror. I was like, okay, you're directing Fast and Furious. Today's Charlize Theron. Tomorrow it's Rita Moreno. Then you have Brie Larson. And again, it was so hard. It was I literally had to look at everyone like I'm their director. I'm not their boss, their collaborator. I need to know my stuff. I mean, they were very everybody was very nice. Everybody knew that I was just the guy who was dropped in. But that works for 1 or 2 takes. By take 3, I'm the director, and I better direct them and give them the strong direction, and answer the question. When there's why am I doing this? What's my motivation? It's not just to mess me up. It's actually because they need it, and because I knew all these movies and I had these great talks with Vin and the rest of the cast, I was able to answer, and that really, really helped everyone, and including me.
They're fans of the franchise. I mean, because here's the thing, when it comes to the Academy, there's this kind of idea that you have to be art house, that you have to dive deep into the, the plethora of emotions that the human existence has to offer in order to really be recognized by your peers, for the effort. And, it kind of leaves, people like Jim Cameron, Tom Cruise, or, the Fast and Furious franchise on the corner there, even though it speaks to hundreds of millions of people around the world who buy tickets to see this stuff. Not everybody is formulaic, just trying to tell a story according to some manipulative psychological way to sell stuff. Some people really have something to say. And the fact that you're able to communicate with hundreds of millions of people around the world really means something. And just having 4 Academy Award-winning actresses in our movie proves it. So I'm stoked. It's really cool to see Momoa come on board. I think that we haven't had a villain this luscious since Charlize Theron. So it's like having this male equivalent of this feminine energy that's just so badass. And I think he just adds this wonderful element of revenge with a smirk, that I think is going to be tasty. I think Dom's superpower is his spidey senses, if you will. He has a really good gut. And, when he has a feeling about something, it's usually right. So, you definitely see him sensing that things are going to change, and that he should probably be careful moving forward because everything could be on the line really soon. Cypher killed the mother of that kid who's upstairs, and being a girl who grew up without a sense of family. I mean, if you look at the story of Letty, she was always over at the Toretto home. And there must have been a reason for that. You never hear about her mother, you never hear about her father, and there must be a reason for that. So I would assume that Letty's history is, one of a girl who had that void when it comes to family, and she found family in the Torettos, really young. And so, I think if anybody would understand what that means to a kid, having a sense of home would mean to a child, it would be Letty. And so I think she'd be pretty pissed off at Cypher for taking that right away, from the kid. So yeah, she's not very happy to see Cypher. Louis was a godsend for Fast 10. We're about to venture off and pass on the torch, if you will, with the franchise. It's incredibly important that whoever takes on the task of directing the next, 2 aspects of this process to really be there to give it all like the rest of us are. And to take whatever comes, no matter what comes at them, and make magic out of it. And that's what we're here to do.
The idea that I'm still here doing my 4th Fast and Furious is like, it's a huge surprise to me. I would never have like just assumed, you know, I'm going to be in 4 Fast and Furious movies. Yeah, but it's so wonderful, like that the fans have connected with Ramsey, and then I get to keep coming back and having more adventures. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's really, really wonderful. And when I think about when I got that phone call to say, you're in Fast and Furious 7, like, I don't know if I would have foreseen everything that's happened since, you know, so it's great. One of the main things I hear from fans about Fast and Furious is how it really is a family affair. Like, it's something that they do with their family. Like, oh, a Fast and Furious movie's come out, and so everyone kind of gets together and watches. And I was in a yoga studio like many years ago. Well, it's not that many years ago, but a few years ago, and there was a young woman in the class, and she was like, oh my gosh, I love Fast and Furious. It's something I go and watch with my brothers. We all get together. It's like our thing that we do as siblings. And that was a really beautiful moment, because I was like, I realized how, if you think about the span, the many years that these movies have been going, like, there's entire generations that have grown up with them. So when she said that to me, I really kind of felt that legacy of, like, she's grown up with these movies, and her brothers, and I just thought that was really special. The one thing that I love hearing about Ramsey is how she's just such a badass. Like, everyone in these films are a badass, right? They've got the cars, they've got the fighting and everything, and Ramsey's just, like, super, super smart, and to have a woman who is so brilliant, like genius level at tech, which is, you know, women are very underrepresented in that field. I've always enjoyed people like celebrating that and telling me how much they love her kind of brilliance and her intelligence, and yeah, that makes me smile. I think that my just general, I guess, taste and sometimes like kind of dark twisted mind at times is like really into the slightly open-ended, like what's going to happen, not a nice happy ending with a bow on that, you know, tied on it at the end. That I when I read that, I was like, that's really cool. It keeps everybody on their toes. It keeps the fans on their toes. It's a completely different energy to what we're used to these films ending as. And so I'm sort of really interested to see how people are going to react to that, because there's a lot of our characters that we don't know whether they're safe or not. We don't know what's happening. It's really left in a state of kind of disarray, and you know, we haven't been as successful as we're used to seeing this team be, and that's kind of scary.
Vin is a very deep thinker and thinks about the themes and the characters and the world and the racing and kind of how Fast and Furious has played such an important part in so many people's lives, and how, just like I measure some of my life's milestones with Fast and Furious, the audience does as well. A lot of people have grown up with it and now are bringing their kids to it. And I think he really realizes the importance of it, and kind of how we were one of the first people to actually bring multicultural casts together and allow for kind of an in point for so many different people, so many races and cultures. And he's very proud of that, and so am I, and I'm sure that's why he's named his company One Race. It's tremendous that between Charlize Theron, Helen Mirren, Brie Larson, and Rita Moreno, that we were lucky enough to have 4 Academy Award-winning actresses in this movie. I never thought Fast and Furious 10 would have 4 Academy Award-winning actresses in it, but I'm very proud that they're here, and they really were additive and have made the movie and the series even better. I've known Louis Leterrier for many, many years. We've never worked together. We've almost worked together many times. I've always liked him. I liked his personality. And when the situation arose where we needed a director to come in really quickly, I thought as much as their filmmaking skills was incredibly important, what I really thought is that you needed somebody with the personality of Louis to come in here and help wrangle everybody together, whether it was behind the camera, in front of the camera, could jump right in with really no prep, had to kind of make the movie based on everybody else's prep before he got here. And I think that his just temperament, his personality, his filmmaking skills, and his preparation on all the things he's worked on in the past really made him the perfect choice to lead Fast 10. He's done an incredible job under incredibly high-pressured stakes. He's gone beyond everything that I could have imagined any director could to do this movie. When we first envisioned the character of Dante, we were like, a peacock, a flamboyant villain. And when we started really talking about who that could be, there was very few people that could do that. And Jason was the first person we really kind of honed in on. We went to him. He was excited about it, and he brought his A game. Like, you know, you can talk about characters like the Joker and so on, but it's very hard to get those performances that actually kind of fit into the tone of what a Fast and Furious movie is. But he was able to take that extravagance, those eccentricities, and make them fit into a Fast and Furious, and also give us a villain that we had never seen in a Fast and Furious movie before. And I think it's incredibly fresh. I can't wait to see what else he can do in future installments. And he was a joy to work with. He came with his A game every day, and he came with great, fresh ideas. In fact, there was one thing where he said to us, I want my car to be purple. And I'm like, I don't know, Jason, purple car? And then Dennis McCarthy, our car guy, they did the car, and I was like, he was right. Like, he was right. It's a beautiful car, beautiful color, and it fit his character tremendously. We're always looking for what canon we have in the previous movies that we can carry over to the next movies. And, you know, it's hard to up the stakes. It's hard to create new villains. It's much better when you actually have history. And unbeknownst to Vin, he had a lot of history with Dante's character. He just didn't know it. And I think it was lucky that we were able to come up with that backstory between the two of them, and it really made sense. It also harkened back to one of my favorite sequences in any of the Fast and Furiouses, which was the vault chase scene in 5. I remember standing on the street in Puerto Rico as we were shooting that vault chase, and I just couldn't believe that any government would allow us to actually pull a vault down the street and rip up their streets. And thank you, Puerto Rico, for letting us do that. But it was, as a producer, it was like, wow, we're actually doing this, and we're doing it real. So I think just having all that history of 5 carrying over into number 10 and those relationships make it you know, more weighty and more interesting.
The term Abuelita translated simply means little grandmother. The ITA makes it diminutive. And that alone explains a lot, because you're not just saying grandma, you're saying little grandma. And it has a very important meaning in the Latin culture. Abuelita is always the wise one, or the one who hollers, and he says, get your act together. And it's a very, very special term. So that when someone calls you Abuelita, with that ITA at the end of it, it's something that has an ancient appreciation for the woman who carries that term. One of the things that is so impressive about this particular franchise is that it has brought every kind of person to the screen, every nationality, every color, every shade. And it particularly because it came at a time when nobody was really caring about such things. I mean, it's really quite astonishing. But it's, you know, it's a testament also to, again, to Vin. It's hard to talk about this franchise without constantly mentioning Vin, because It's what he brought to it. It's what he is about. And that's impressive. That's amazing. Not only nationalities, but heights. Some guys are very tall who are in this movie. I met some of them, and it was just hilarious. I mean, I was talking to their belt buckles, which was really quite comical. I am beyond excited that this film ends on a cliffhanger. That absolutely kills me, because I don't either. I don't know either. And I'm just hoping, and I'm going to say it out loud because if it gets to Vin, maybe he'll listen to me. Maybe I'll get to drive a car in some kind of aspect of the movie. Maybe it's not that she's driving, but she gets caught in some kind of car battle, and she happens to be in one of the cars, screaming and carrying on, or screaming instructions at whoever's driving, which might be even more fun.
In Fast 10, we have the most iconic fight ever. Letty and Cypher finally square off in this film, and this is a rivalry that's 2 films in the making, and these women just kick ass. I think in the character of Letty, Michelle has created such an iconic character, one that is fiery and fierce, but also has a stoicism and is incredibly loyal. And she just brought all of that energy to this particular fight scene. It's powerful, it's scary, it's fun, it's funny at times. 2 polar opposites squaring off just always works, and in this film it works even more. And I have to give a lot of credit to the actresses in this film who just bring all of that to the screen, and we have such incredibly strong and powerful women portraying these roles, and they just kill it. It blows my mind. Every time somebody new comes into our franchise, it blows my mind that we get to work with such incredible actors, but it also is just, it's really fun to see them really want to be there. It's always a little bit startling when I realize how many people are fans of this franchise. I think Brie is one of the newer cast members, and it was just shocking to hear that, you know, Captain Marvel is a fan of ours. I think what's so great about the Fast universe is that because there's no comic book, because it's not based on any other pre-existing material, because we're creating every character, because we're creating every plot line every time. The actors that are part of Fast really become the keepers of their character. They co-create the character with us, and then they end up being the person who sort of holds the Bible for that character. So, I think that Jason came in and really wanted to do something that we hadn't seen before. He didn't want to be generic. He wanted to bring a new layer, and I think he really did that. I mean, to be able to be a villain, but also so funny. I mean, it's great to watch an audience watch him because he's playing somebody who's incredibly scary, but he's simultaneously making everybody crack up. He's incredible. He nailed the role, and I'm sure he's going to become a real favorite in the Fast franchise. I think very few people could have stepped into a franchise that's on its 10th and have so easily folded into the team. He is such a collaborative worker and so willing to listen and so willing to take other people's notes. Always, I think, what's great about Louis' style is that he's always searching for the best idea. He's always searching for the best note, and for him, it doesn't matter who that comes from. And so with a cast that includes so many brilliant writers and so many brilliant actors that are creating their characters, it really helped that we had a director who had that mindset. I think he fit in perfectly, and I mean, I think our audience is going to be blown away. This is a film like nothing they've ever seen before, and yet so incredibly authentic to the Fast universe, maybe more authentic to the Fast universe than anyone we've done in a long time.
When I meet a young man or older gentleman or a father or a son or a grandfather or a daughter or a mother, and you can see in their eyes the light is shining bright, and they're just the conversation and sharing stories about, you know, shooting fast, it's making their day, or it might make their week. And then on social media you see that, oh, I got to meet Sung and it just, you know, made my day. I feel like, wow, that is important, and it legitimizes my existence. So I have to thank the fans, because also without the fans, I would not be here. You know, the whole Justice for Han campaign was from the fans. We are all connected, and without the audience, without the fans, we have nothing. We wouldn't be here, right? I mean, look at our life, look what we get to do. And so every day, you know, it's an opportunity to go out in the world and thank people for allowing me to pursue my dream and allowing me to live this amazing life. There's, of course, Jason Momoa, who I know. We did a film almost a decade ago together, and you know, he was bigger than life back then. You know, joy to work with. You know, the energy that he brings to set, and you know, you can tell that he loves what he does. And then we have, you know, Brie Larson, who, you know, I'm a fan of, and I'm a fan of her work as an actress and a director. You know, I think we just keep leveling up. You know, I mean, we have Helen Mirren. We have these legends of these you know, thespians that set the bar of what being a great actor or actress is, and the fact that they're joining us in the Fast and Furious franchise. Sometimes I scratch my head, but it's a testament to how far we've come, and that, you know, we are able to attract these powerhouse actors and actresses and these talents from all over the world, not just actors, but musicians and you know, all walks of life, right? That, you know, this is something that is important to them, because maybe they don't watch the films, or they're not a necessarily fan of Fast, but their children are, or their grandkids are, you know. And I heard an interview with Helen Mirren a while back, and she said that, you know, her grandkids are super fans, and if she was in a Fast and Furious movie, would give her some street cred with her grandkids, right? So what better reason, you know? So it's an honor to be able to share the screen and be in a movie with, you know, these amazing talents. Han knows that Shaw's heart's in the right place, so that's why he goes to his lair to, you know, of all the people that he could ask for help, that he knows that Shaw's gonna, you know, react a certain way when he sees Han, but he knows, he already knows that, you know, that Shaw's heart is in the right place, right? So of course he can depend on him. Dante is really angry, right? That's all I can say, is Dante is really one angry guy, but really well dressed for an angry guy. Like, for all that anger, you do have a lot of time to go to wherever you're shopping, Versace or whatever, to get well dressed. You're the best dressed villain in the world. I mean, in cinema history, right?
I love the dance over all these years with Tej and Roman. And again, when we get on the set, most of the things that we end up doing is within the context, but you can never write the magic and the chemistry and the spontaneity that we come up with impulsively on the set. So, and believe me, I'm not hurting for ideas. So if we're doing this for another 20 years, the spontaneity is gonna keep coming. I was definitely happy about leading the mission, but there's something about jumping out there with your first mission, you know, as much as I didn't want to have anything to do with any more of Dom's direction, I wanted nothing more than to hear some Dom direction. So that's what I mean by saying, you know, you want it until you get it, and then you're like, oh shit, we here now. So yeah, I did the best I could, and it was one of those moments that felt like in this film, after all of the barking, screaming, and yelling about letting me lead and let me do my thing, Big Bro finally said, all right, Roman, and I finally accepted it. But at the same time, something in my mind never felt like this is my thing. All I wanted to do was make Big Bro proud, you know? Because he trusted me to lead, and I want to be able to come back and go, hey man, I appreciate you finally letting me lead. I hope I make you proud, you know? But I don't ever want to do that shit again. Ever. You got it. You got it. So what we doing? That's a gold Lambo with the plates plate to take car sick. And ever since they did it, I've bought about a couple cars, and my license plate all say car sick now in real life. So I was like, well, shit, you know, this gonna be pretty signature for me, so let me go and get this shit done now. You think I'm about to let y'all Fast and the Furious fans steal my idea? Yeah, not today. My license plate say car sick. And if the name was unavailable, I figured out all kind of ways to spell that shit. K-A-R-S-I-K-K. You ain't stealing mine. That's me. I came up with that. Don't play with me. Jason Momoa brought some energy to Fast and the Furious that was not there before he got there. You see? This is the magic of Fast. This is the magic of us playing in the sandbox. A lot of people with muscles, we got it. Jason Momoa brought a level of charm and wit and charisma that was not there before he got there. Has nothing to do with anybody else and any other character, which is what I love about the sandbox. Y'all going in there, you know? And the process of the sandbox at this point is also studying all of the movies before you actually enter, because there's nothing more uncomfortable than walking into a classroom with a bunch of students that's been here for 20 years. And say, hey, Jason, how are ya? Here, there's your seat right there. New guy. You know, whatever that is. Yeah, that shit is uncomfortable, even though people trying to make you feel comfortable. So y'all been in this class for 20 years, huh? Yeah, man, it's all good, man. Welcome to the club, you know, hang out with you. It's like you still uncomfortable. After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, y'all been knowing each other for 20 years. But we have a real magical way of recognizing the discomfort of someone that's brand new and going above and beyond to make them feel comfortable. I remember the first time that I realized that John Cena got comfortable. It was a dinner at Vin's house. I was all tired. I was like, yo, we got a couple of days before we start. And what we do is we'll do lunches and dinners and just make sure that we're all talking, getting to know each other and breaking bread, because again, that's a sandbox. Catch a vibe.
The Letty and Cypher fight. Now this is a fight the audience has been waiting for since 2017. And wow, does it deliver. For me, as a producer of this saga, I was especially grateful in the first few weeks of filming to see both Charlize and Michelle commit so heavily to create this really exciting and electrifying fight. It was something that made the whole production proud. It made the franchise proud. And of course, we hope to make you proud. I can't say enough good things about Louis. He's the 6th director to be a part of this mythology. But what he brought was so special. He has a tireless work ethic. Kindness is his superpower. I think above all, what I gravitated towards was how much he truly loved the franchise. You can feel that when a director comes on and you know that they've grown with this franchise for so long and really want to contribute and really want to honor the legacy. So we're all very fortunate to call Louis the director of Fast 10 Part 1. Jason Momoa is somebody that I had been watching clocking. The character needed somebody that, at face value, one could regard his formidable stature as a worthy adversary, but also be willing to approach a character with a completely unique take that is so dynamic and grounded with a palpable pain. We've done a lot of daring things in this franchise, and if there was ever a moment to be this daring, we hope that we've earned it after 23 years. In order to end the movie with a cliffhanger of that magnitude, you have to know that your audience believes in you. You have to know that you've earned a trust with that audience. To truly tell a finale, we know we needed more than just the length of one movie. We knew that it would call for our film to be broken into multiple pieces. People all the time ask me about the iconic cars in this mythology. When I think of the Dodge Charger, I think of that moment from the first film in the Toretto garage where Dom and Brian are talking heart to heart. And Dom is talking about the relevance of this particular car in his life. He talks about his father. He talks about how he's actually afraid to drive that car. But overall, he's talking about this vehicle as though it's a living, breathing entity. Which is why we cast cars like other films cast actors. I remember when the first film came out. It was back when I used to read the reviews. And I remember looking at all these reviews about how wonderful this movie was. And I think it was the New York Times, but there was one article that said, as great as the movie is, the biggest crime is that there is not enough Dom and Letty. There is not enough of that relationship. Well, little did I know that a quarter century later, we would still be playing these characters that represent the longest love story in cinema. Something I'm very, very proud of. I was just with Michelle for the holidays, and someone was saying to her, you know, you should be in the Guinness Book of World Records for having had the longest love story in Hollywood, which I thought was very funny. You know, one of the things that's made this franchise so special and so relatable for people is that the relationships on and off screen are built out of love. It's the reason why I've had people come up to me and say, you know, I used to say that I learned an appreciation for cars from your franchise, from your saga. And as I got older, I realized I learned about brotherhood and family. And a large part of that is because of the wonderful person that Michelle Rodriguez is. It's always bittersweet to think about the end of a journey that's meant so much to you and it's been such a part of your life. And it's so important for us as filmmakers to honor all of you who have adopted this as your saga, as the world saga. So it is the beginning of the end of the road. It's where the end of the road begins. And as you know, we make these movies with our hearts and our souls. And we are so grateful that you have always been there with us and always supported us and always believed in us. And we always hope to make you proud.